What if the most important decision of your life is one you are being rushed into right now? At 70, after years of building a life, raising a family, and quietly learning who you truly are, the idea of sharing that life with someone new can feel exciting and full of hope. But what if there are things no one is telling you? Things that wise, experienced people wish they had known before they said yes a second time. Today, we are going to talk about those things, gently and honestly. Wanting companionship, warmth, and love at this stage of life is not foolish. It is deeply human, and you deserve all of those things. But this video is not here to discourage you. It is here to make sure that if you do choose to walk that path, you walk it with your eyes fully open, because the decisions you make now carry a different kind of weight than they did in your younger years, and you deserve to make them with complete honesty and genuine care for yourself. So, let us begin. Point 1. Your financial security could be quietly and seriously at risk. One of the things that rarely gets talked about openly before remarriage is money, and it can be the most complicated part of all. When two people marry later in life, their finances become legally connected in ways that many people do not fully understand until it is too late. Savings you spent a lifetime building, the home you have lived in for decades, and the inheritance you planned to leave for your children can all be affected by a new marriage in ways that feel completely unexpected. Estate planning, for example, becomes a much more complex matter the moment you remarry. In many places, a new spouse automatically gains legal rights to a portion of your estate, which can change everything you had planned for your family. And if your new partner carries debts, those too can sometimes find their way into your shared financial life in ways that are difficult to untangle later. This is not meant to frighten you. It is simply a reminder that before anything else, a conversation with a trusted financial advisor or an attorney is not just wise, it is essential. Protecting what you have worked so hard for is one of the most loving things you can do for yourself and for the people who depend on you. And while your finances are deeply important, there is another layer of life that remarriage touches just as powerfully, and that is the hearts of the people closest to you. Point 2. Your family relationships may become more complicated than you expected. It is natural to hope that the people you love will simply be happy for you, and many times they genuinely are. But adult children and grandchildren often have feelings about a parent's remarriage that run much deeper than they show on the surface. What looks like disapproval is often fear, and that fear deserves to be heard with patience and without dismissal. Your children may worry about their inheritance. They may feel a sense of loyalty to your late or former spouse. They may simply not know how to welcome a new person into a family that already has a long and layered history. These feelings are not wrong, and they do not mean your family does not want you to be happy. What they mean is that remarriage at this stage of life is not just a decision between two people. It quietly touches everyone you love. Taking time to have honest, gentle conversations with your family before making any commitment is something that many remarried seniors say they wish they had done more of. When the people around you feel heard and included, the road ahead becomes much smoother for everyone, and love has a far better chance to grow in a way that brings your family together rather than pulling it apart. Before we move on, I want to ask you a gentle question. Have you ever talked openly with someone you trust about how remarriage might change your life at this stage? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this video is helping you, please like it, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to the Wisdom Vault. Also, please watch until the very end, because the points ahead are just as important and may truly make a difference in your life. Point 3. Loneliness can feel exactly like love, and that difference matters more than you know. This may be the most tender point of all, and it deserves to be spoken with great care. When we have lived through loss, whether it is the death of a spouse or the painful end of a long marriage, the emptiness that follows is one of the deepest aches a human being can carry. And sometimes, when someone kind and attentive comes into our life and that emptiness begins to lift, we can mistake the relief of no longer being alone for the feeling of being truly in love. These are two very different things, And the difference matters enormously when a lifelong commitment is involved. True readiness for a new relationship usually requires time, healing, and honest self-reflection that many of us have not yet fully completed when we believe we are ready. The heart can be wonderfully convincing, but it also needs to be questioned with gentleness and honesty. There is a woman named Frances who lived in a quiet town in Tennessee. After losing her husband of 42 years, she met a kind man at her church just 8 months later. He was warm and attentive, and she felt alive again for the first time in what seemed like forever. They married within the year, but 2 years into the marriage, Frances quietly confided to her daughter that she had confused the deep gratitude of no longer being alone with the readiness to truly share her life with someone new. She loved him, but she also wished she had simply given herself more time to breathe, to grieve fully, and to hear her own heart clearly before making that commitment. Frances' story leads us naturally into something else that many people do not speak about openly enough, and that is what happens to your personal freedom when a new partner enters your daily life. Point 4. Your hard-won independence and daily rhythms may quietly disappear after years of living on your own terms. You have likely settled into a life that feels comfortable and genuinely yours. You wake when you like. You eat what you enjoy. You spend your time in ways that bring you peace. These things may seem small, but they are not small at all. They are the quiet architecture of a life you have shaped with great care. Remarriage changes all of that, and the change often comes as a genuine surprise. Suddenly there are two people's habits, preferences, and personalities living under one roof, and compromise can be genuinely exhausting at this stage of life. Honest conversations about daily routines, personal boundaries, and realistic expectations need to happen long before the wedding, not long after, because knowing what you would be giving up is just as important as knowing what you would be gaining. And there is one final thing that deserves to be named honestly before we close today, something that many people feel but very few are willing to say out loud. Point 5. Grief and healing take much longer than anyone likes to admit. There is a quiet pressure that many older adults feel after losing a spouse, a pressure to be okay, to move forward, and to not burden the people around them with a sadness that seems to go on too long. And sometimes, when a new relationship appears to offer that forward movement, it can feel like an answered prayer. But grief has its own timeline, and it is rarely finished when it appears to be. People who study emotional well-being consistently point out that healing after a significant loss, particularly the loss of a long-term spouse, can take anywhere from 2 to 5 years or even longer, depending on the person and the depth of the relationship. Moving into a new marriage before that healing is truly complete can mean bringing unresolved wounds into a new relationship in ways that quietly undermine it from the very beginning, often without either person fully understanding why. Being kind to yourself means giving your heart the time it genuinely needs. It means allowing grief to do its full and honest work before asking your heart to take on something as significant as a new lifetime commitment. This kind of patience is not weakness. It is one of the deepest and most courageous forms of self-love available to you, and it is something you have more than earned at this point in your beautiful life. Thinking about remarriage at 70 is not naive, and it is not something to be ashamed of. But love at this stage of life deserves to be entered slowly and with clear, open eyes. Your financial security, your family, your emotional readiness, your freedom, and your healing all deserve to be honored before you take that step. Take your time, ask the hard questions, and know that whatever you decide, you are worthy of a life filled with warmth, connection, and lasting peace. If this video helped you today, please like it, share it with someone you love, and subscribe to the Wisdom Vault. We are always here for you.